Hello everyone, we will be starting shortly. I'm getting YouTube set up and then we'll be good to go. Okay, that's all saved. Okay, everything seems good on there. No drop frames. Connections up. Video showing, so I think we're good to go. So, hi everyone, welcome to another stream of Phoenix Wright Trilogy, where we had left this off last week. We had done some investigation around the hotel, failed at doing some voices, got lost for a little bit, I think, and then found some inconsistencies with the murder, because like there was a drink that shouldn't have been there because it was after the murder, and all this other stuff, and the guitar's missing, and old windbag or old bag or whatever her name is her usual self of withholding information. But other than that, yeah, we're now on the trial day. We're going to see if we can get this done on the first day. Probably not, but we'll see. Maybe we can get Matt and get off with his life. But for now, let us begin today's stream. I know we're starting at the mid-time hour. Just had to start that way today. Luckily, I have this on a whole thing of just saying it's a 6 to 8 p.m. start time. Any time between there, I start. So, you know, if it was something like 9 p.m., I wouldn't be streaming it at all. But you get the point. Luckily, everyone is aware of this. Right, sounds picked up. Refresh this. Yep. I think we're good to go. All right, continue. Farewell, my turnabout, part 2. Day 1, or part 2-1. 9:47 a.m., March 22nd, District Court Defendant Lobby number 3. Adrian did it? That's what it looks like. Dude, no way. That woman couldn't do anything like that. In court today, there will be a mountain of evidence that would implicate you. A mountain of evidence? Oh. I'm certain there is someone out there trying very hard to pin this whole thing on you. Please, Mr. Lawyer, dude, like I said yesterday, I'm refreshing like a spring breeze, alright? It's y'all. Can't even let any sort of that scandal ruin it. I understand. Well, it's almost time. Edgeworth? No, it's you. Okay. Mia, must get that complete acquittal today. I know, but I can't focus on Maya's situation right now. Or Pearl's either. No matter what, I have to focus on winning this case by the end of the day. Indeed. Well, let's get going. Right now? It's him! Beep. This is right. Good morning. Is this it, Mr. Turney? The day of the trial. This is it. Right. Maya, she's unarmed, right? Well, when I checked her on earlier this morning, she seemed a bit, how should I say, tired. But don't worry, people don't die that easily. Besides, What you really should be concentrating on is winning today's trial. For my sake, as well as yours, you must win today's trial. Which is why I sent you a little present this morning. Present? What in the world would you want to give me? You'll figure it out once the trial starts. And if you don't like my gift, I expect you to graciously accept it and win the day's contest, if you please. Wait. Kidnapper sent me a present? Mr. Lawyer, dude? Who was that? No one. It has nothing to do with you, so forget you heard anything. Dude, did your nose just get, like, longer? Y'all. I keep doing this stupid hand movement because I'm trying to pretend to be a surfer dude, but because I always think they do this weird hand thing where it's like doing a call hand, but they're like shaking it. Night to 3, the notification should go off. That's fine. We've only just started. You haven't missed much. Court is now in session for the trial of Matt Engard. Are the prosecution and defense ready? Defense is ready, Your Honor. There is no one at the... How could you not notice that when we came in? I say, Mr. Wright, what happened to Miss Von Karma? I don't know, Your Honor. What are you getting mad at me for? Your Honor. Please be quiet, bailiff. Court is in session. If you must tell me something, please keep it brief. Now then, what is it? Prosecutor Von Karma has... This morning, Miss Von Karma was shot by an unknown gunman. What? Shot? Somehow, I think this is the present that man was talking about. His present? Prosecution gave up. We win. We end the case now. Yeah. I didn't even say hi. Hi, Sean. Welcome. Miss Von Karma is one of the top prosecutors in the country at the moment. If she were to disappear, it would be to your advantage. This is totally insane. Miss Von Karma, is she alright? I don't have that answer. She's alive and in stable condition. Who is this mysterious figure? That's good. Whew. I thought he'd show up. Your Honor? I need to do his voice. Due to the circumstances, Miss Von Karma, or Francisco Von Karma, cannot appear in court today. I, Miles Edgeworth, will be taking her place. The prosecution is ready, naturally. Miss Von Karma was shot in her right shoulder and is currently undergoing surgery. Luckily, I have looked into this case and am familiar with the details. The prosecution seeks to prove the guilt of Mr. Matt Engard. The court acknowledges the prosecution. Right. I have finally found the answer I was struggling for on my long journey this past year. By the time this case comes to an end, you too will know the answer. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. Please bring Detective Gumshoe to the witness stand. Witness, your name and occupation? My name's Dick Gumshoe, sir. I'm a detective down at the precinct for now. For now? After this trial, I'm supposed to turn in my badge, sir. Detective Gumshoe. The prosecution has no need for a depressed witness. Lift your head up. Face forward like a proud officer, Detective Gumshoe. Or Dick Gumshoe. Yes, sir. Now, let's have your testimony. If we want to explore the various facets of this case, we must start with that. Get ready, Phoenix. This is going to be one very rough fight. Yeah, would have to be with Edgeworth as my opponent. Answer he was struggling for. Interesting. Show me this answer you finally found, Edgeworth. Bare facts of the case. This murder happened at after the Hero of Heroes Award ceremony, sir. The victim, Juan Corrida, was found dead in his hotel room. After looking into the cause of death, we believed he was definitely murdered, sir. As if the things weren't obvious enough, people thought that he was mugged and he's still alive. At first we thought there was something suspicious about the empty guitar case. However, we later found out the guitar case had nothing to do with the murder. Mr. Giller, would you please give me another gift? After the award ceremony ended, the victim was alone in his room? Yes, sir. Both the victim and the defendant went alone into their rooms, sir. I see. Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. The bare necessities. Would you please give us a brief timeline of what happened after the ceremony? Okay, pal. The ceremony started at 6 p.m. It ended around 8 p.m., and then there was a short break. A special post-ceremony show was supposed to start in the lobby 30 minutes later. And that's when the victim's body was found, correct? Which is to say, the murder occurred during the 30-minute break period. Please continue with the testimony, detective. The person who discovered the victim's body was Adrian Andrews, correct? Yeah. Who's this Adrian Andrews you're talking about? She's the defendant, Matt Engard's manager. She's a real pretty lady, sir. Ah, so she's a pretty lady. I wonder if she will grace us with her presence. When the post-ceremony... I just realized how weird that sounds. Oh, she's pretty. I hope she comes here. What? When the post-ceremony show was about to start, she went to get Matt Engard, or Mr. Engard. After visiting his room, she went next to the victim's room to get him for the show, sir. I see. That's when she found the victim's body. The cause of death. Wasn't that because Mr. Corrida was stabbed in the chest? Only a careless amateur would believe something so brainless as that, pal. Take a good hard look at the crime photo. Now, a real pro's attention would be drawn here to this bandana. Banana. His bandana, sir. That's the thing wrapped tightly around his neck, sir? Ah, yes, I see. His banana-scented bandana. Then what about the knife? It seems to have been stuck to the victim's chest on purpose after his death. Huh. We have a crafty murder on our hands here. I mean... But why? If he was dead, why would you then just stab him? Autopsy report added to the court record. 8:15, strangled with a scarf, then stabbed with a knife. Unneeded. And why did you think that? Because it was empty, pal. The German ninja doesn't go anywhere without his bright red guitar. We couldn't find it anywhere at the scene of the crime. Oh, then how about this theory? A fan really wanted the guitar and did the crime to get it. How's that? We thought of that too, but... The only fingerprints on the guitar case were the victims. Only the victims, huh? I see. So much for my theory, then. Guitar case updated with the court record. Empty. There is some water, but only on the top of the lid. Bears Corrida's fingerprints. Which you'd think would be washed off with the water, but... What convinced you that it had nothing to do with the case? Guitar wasn't at the Great War Hotel that night. Well then, where was it? The bright red guitar was eventually found at the TV studio. The victim, Juan Corrida, had apparently only taken the case with him, sir. So you mean he forgot to put the guitar inside the case? Yes, sir. Even when he was on stage for the ceremony, he didn't have his guitar. So that guitar case was empty before he got to the hotel? Yeah, that's right. So it really had nothing to do with the case after all? I believe that is enough. First, the victim was choked to death with his banana. Then, after the victim was dead, the killer deliberately stabbed him with a knife. Which brings me to my next point. Why then did the police arrest Matt Engard? Because there was reason enough to suspect him. Here it comes. Looks like Edward's back in full swing. Very well. Detective Gumshoe, please testify about this matter. Yes, sir. Why arrest Engard? Question mark. Engard and Juan Corrida were huge rivals with each other. They each thought the other guy was in his way. That's motive enough in my book. As for evidence, there's the Jammin' Ninja's butt. It was ripped off the ninja's costume and found in Mr. Engard's hakama. The defendant's fingerprints were also all over the knife. The defendant brought the knife for the crime, which makes this a premeditated murder. So the defendant's fingerprints were found on the knife used in the stabbing. And it was sort of sticky on the handle, so the fingerprints came out pretty clearly, sir. Knife added to the record. In the grip, Gatewater is engraved. And there's this button. This was found in the defendant's clothes, was it? And is this button also covered in blood? Yes, and we know that the blood on it is the victim's blood, sir. What? Jammer Ninja's button added to the court record. Was ripped, is covered in Kurida's blood, found in Engar's hakama. All of this points very clearly to the defendant, doesn't it? Yes, it most certainly does, Your Honor. Ready to give in yet, right? Huh, I'll find a hole in your argument somewhere. Or somehow. You can press as hard as you like. Just hurry up with your usual pointless questions. You came back from the dead and he's already being this sassy guy. Like, come on.
Hold it.
But in terms of popularity, Mr. Engard won, did he not? Yeah, but you know what's ironic, pal? Juan Corrida was always one step behind Mr. Engard and everything. This year, it seemed like he finally caught up, ready for the big final showdown. But Mr. Corrida lost the Grand Prix in the end. This is too bad. He must have been pretty downhearted after losing. Wait just 1 second here. Mr. Engard was beating Mr. Corrida in the popularity polls. Well, yeah, I guess, but... Which means that in the defendant's eyes, the victim was not a rival at all. Which means he had no motive to kill at all. Yes, I quite agree. Well, detective? It's not... Well... Assassin's too strong with Edgeworth. Not even death could cope with it. I guess if you put it that way, then yeah, the defendant would have had no motive. You're a bit late on that. Detective, I'm beginning to see why you were fired. Eh? No, not you too, Mr. Edgeworth. Sir, that's... I look forward to your pension negotiations. No! Now, detective, let's continue with the testimony. Oh, my poor pension too. Detective, if you value your money, I suggest you proceed. Yes, sir. We can talk about the pension later, sir. What about what I was saying? Hello? Anyone? Do you have any proofs that the button belonged to the victim? Huh? What do you mean, pal? Oh, let me put it this way. I'm asking you if you have any evidence to back up your claim that this button was ripped off the Jammin' Ninja's costume. Huh? But can't you tell just by looking at it? And the victim's blood is on it. Anyone could have smeared that blood out from there afterward. Mr. Edgeworth, help me, sir. Alright, I knew it had to be this piece of evidence. Now to reel this one in. Thread. What? Huh? The button was attached to the costume by thread, obviously. And that thread snapped off when the button was torn off. If you match up the ends of the thread on the costume with the thread on the button, it's a perfect match. Yeah, that's it. They're a perfect match, pal. That's Edgeworth for you. Never misses a beat. I mean, it's obvious. Anyone would look for that. When was this button found? Pretty soon after the body was found, we rounded up everyone who knew Mr. Corrida. And then we did a search for them all. That's when we found the button. So this is almost immediately after the murder. The police didn't have the free time to lollygag and play tricks, unlike some people. Hey, what is he trying to say about me here? How were the fingerprints arranged on the knife? Huh? What do you mean, pal? By examining the fingerprints, you could determine how the defendant held the knife. For example, did he hold it normally or overhand? Oh, is that what you meant? Oh, well, we didn't actually think of that. I can't believe the bumbling of this department. If a lawyer, whose job it is to find this, how is the police who's had the same job, but more intense, not see that? Hopeless. Were you paying attention to the testimony, Mr. Wright? The defendant's fingerprints were all over the knife. There is no way to determine how the knife was held at the moment of the murder. So is the defendant the owner of this knife then?
Hold it!
There is no way this was a premeditated murder. There we go, got the word eventually. Even if he bought the knife. Hey Edgeworth, remember who ended your perfect streak and solved DL6? You jerk. Sorry, pal, this isn't some pocket knife. It doesn't fold, so it's not great for walking around with either. Ugh, this is no good. If the prosecution can prove that it was premeditated murder, we're done for. Phoenix. Yes? There's something very interesting about what the detective just said now. Think carefully before it's too late. A button covered in the victim's blood and a knife with Engard's fingerprints. Be grateful. If the judge were more rash, he would have already pounded his gavel on closing. We're still in the world of trouble. Well, before any battle, you must find your enemy's weakness. So let's find the weakness of this testimony, no matter how small it may be, okay, Phoenix? Okay. Think carefully, right. Safety. Yes. The defendant bought the victim of the crime, which was made it premeditated. If it was premeditated, it wouldn't come from the hotel.
Objection!
Wait a second. What? So the basis of your argument is that this was a premeditated murder is simply that my client brought a knife beforehand? That's right, pal. The defendant did not buy this knife. Huh? Take a good look at the handle of this knife and you'll see what I'm talking about. Huh? It has Gatewater seal into the handle. Gatewater? I think I heard that name somewhere before. That's the name of the hotel. The Gatewater Hotel. Uh-oh. The murder knife was actually property of the hotel, which means this murder was not premeditated. Yes, that is very true. It is very big. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sorry, but the defense is simply too careless. What? They're like saying what? I can only find so many ways of saying what. I think whether the crime was premeditated or not has already been determined. How so? I admit this knife is hotel property. There is no one currently on the police force that is dumb enough to not realize this. But I didn't... Oh. The question is, where did this knife come from? Why, that's obvious. It came from the victim, Mr. Corrida's room. Sorry, Your Honor, but that is incorrect. The victim ate a last meal before he was murdered. With that being the case, I would like to draw the court's attention to what is on top of that table. There's a knife and fork on the table. Then, where in the world did this knife come from? Stone Cold Steve Austin fan. Maybe. If it pleases the court, I would like for us to recall the room of the defendant, Mr. Matt Engard. Especially what was on top of his table. Giant, massive plates that just seem too huge for a person. There is something missing. Perhaps it is a single knife? We investigated the leftover dishes for fingerprints, and while we were investigating, we came up to the conclusion that Mr. Matt Engard's knife was missing. Mr. Engard had gone to the victim's room with the knife he had used during dinner. Why would he carry a knife on a visit? To kill, of course. And with that, I believe the prosecution has proven this was a premeditated murder. Amazing, Mr. Edgeworth. Absolutely brilliant. A brilliantly clear deduction. It seems like Edgeworth had this plan from the very beginning. This must be one of those traps and I just walked headlong into it. What do you mean, one of those traps? You've been in those traps many times. Why are you just acting as though it's the first one you've ever gone in? a murder weapon and with fingerprints, and a button from the victim's costume. There is quite a sizable amount of evidence here. 2 pieces, a button and a knife. Oh, there's a lot. I can safely say that any further deliberation is a waste of your Honor's time. Although, I wouldn't mind if the defense were to present evidence were not yet shown to the court. Evidence not yet shown? It means evidence that the court hasn't seen yet. In other words, new evidence. What does the defense have to say about this, Mr. Wright? Well, Phoenix, the judge is favoring the prosecution right now. If we answer with something wrong here, Cavalier of his will swing out the sound of the feet. Mr. Wright, do you have something important and necessary to present to this court? Now, if we remember the last one about evidence law, we cannot show something if we don't know if it's relevant to the case, and we can't just go, oh, here's evidence that is detained illegally. Do we have anything? This judge is like, I'm old and tired, so let's end this trial quick. I'll say yes, just because of the glass. There's one piece of evidence that catches my attention. Something that this court has yet to see. Mr. Wright, I will say this one more time. I do not feel this trial needs to continue at all. However, I'm giving you one chance and only one. What the judge is saying, Mr. Wright, is don't try pulling one of your usual bluffs here. If I mess this up, it's curtains for all of us. You may now present one and only one piece of evidence. Now then, what is this important evidence that you must show to the court? Would you like a drink?
Take that!
This is a wine glass, is it not? Please look at the photo of the crime scene one more time. The scene is a mess because of the victim's struggle against his assailant. The vase is broken, his makeup is all over the floor. These were all the things that were at one point sitting on top of the dresser. Well, yes, I see your point. However, this glass that is sitting on top of the dresser is mysteriously untouched. The only thing that had not fallen over along with everything else is this wine glass. This piece of evidence is more than strange enough to warrant further consideration. Well, what do you all have to say? Oh, well, yes, it is a little peculiar. Yes, isn't it? I thought it was. You can stop looking at me with those big puppy dog eyes of yours now. Mr. Edgeworth. Oh, what is it, Your Honor? Your opinion? You do not need my opinion. Because there is no special meaning to that glass. What? What do you mean? It's safe to say that the glass was set there after the crime took place. By the person who discovered the body, Adrian Andrews, for example. She could have easily been so shocked that she set the glass down without thinking. It does sound very plausible, Mr. Wright. Could Miss Adrian Andrews really have set that glass down without thinking? No way. If I appear weak here, the trial is over. You can look for my proof later. For now, I should trust my instinct and point with certainty. I just might fall for it if you're thought-provoking enough. The defense would like to challenge the prosecution's theory. We would like to see something that proves that it was Miss Andrews who set up the cup on the table. It's not a cup, it's a glass, but I get your point. You turn the situation on its head yet again as usual. Mr. Edgeworth, do you have any proof to back up your claim? There's no way he has any, he's just bluffing. Unlike Mr. Wright, I never say anything unless I have the evidence to support it. What? Again, how many times do I have to say what in different ways? I've said it in so many ways, I'm just going back to the ones I've already done. You're not thinking hard enough today, Wright. Did you think this wine glass escaped my notice? Then, of course it has been thoroughly inspected for fingerprints. Fingerprints? There were only one set of fingerprints left on this wine glass. Only one? Well, whose were they? They were not the victims nor the defendants. Rather, they were one Adrian Andrews. What? Wine glass updated the court record. Bears Andrew's fingerprints. That is why I said that the person who had discovered the body had left it there. Are we done here, Mr. Wright? Can't believe I fell into another trap. Miss Andrews was probably holding the glass when she went to see Mr. Corrida. But upon seeing his dead body, she was stunned and set the glass down on the dresser instead of, being surprised and dropping it to the floor. She walked over to the dresser to put the drink down. You just said makes a lot of sense. It doesn't. You don't walk up to the body when you're afraid that there's a dead person right in front of you. Granted, most people won't be acting logical in that kind of situation anyway, but still, you wouldn't walk up to the body and be like, oh, I'm going to put this down before I actually go, ah, or something. Tisk. Now you see, right? You can't change any part of my scenario as it explains everything all too well. I've thought long and hard this past year about what it means to be a prosecutor. And from here on out, I will show you the answer I have come to discover. Wait a second, Mr. Edgeworth. I think the prosecution has provided enough evidence for me to enter my verdict. Unfortunately, I cannot allow you to pass judgment yet because I control this court, not you, me. I've come back from the dead. I am the master of this court now. I hand down the verdicts. Shut up, Judge. The prosecution has yet another witness we would like the court to hear from. Another witness? Dumbledore calmly puts the drink down. Yes, bailiff, please bring in the next witness. What in the world is Mr. Edgeworth thinking? Oh, God. And now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Gotcha. I wonder what happened to that calm and composure he had earlier. Oh, Edgy boy. I have to use this voice again. Like, oh, Edgy boy. It's been, what, a year since last we met, wasn't it? You should be more than happy to see me. I saw the report with her testimony, but who knew that under that helmet? It was the Wicked Witch at the witness stand. I tell you, I know what I'm supposed to do. So today I'm going to tell you everything and everything. Or anything and everything. Even things that don't have to do with the terrible crime. This witness, this terrible crime is all the court needs to know. Oh, shush, I'm the one talking to my dear Edgy Wedgy right now. Don't interrupt us, Gramps. Yes, madam. No, please, by all means, interrupt her. Please. Anyway, witness your testimony, please. It's true what they say. The youth are hot-headed nowadays. Not that I mind at all, Edgy. Now then, what should I start with? The witness was on security detail at the hotel of the night of the crime. Is this correct, Miss Oldbag? It was a great job being able to see my dearie one. Oh, I think she would actually be the one that, like, just can't do names, because, old generation. It was almost too much for me, my little heart to handle. You mean you were a fan of the victim? Look, everyone is crazy over that Engard. Saying he's cute in a fresh way or something. But not me. I wouldn't say anything so silly. After all, I have no interest in a little child like him. I'm interested in a real man like Jew and Karada. But those two were the same age. Anyway, as I was saying, I was pacing in front of his room that night. Very well, please tell the court what you witnessed that night of the murder. Leave it to me, Edgy Poo. Hopefully she leaves the stand soon, because I don't want to do her voice for ages. Anyway, after the ceremony, I went to pace around the hallway in front of his room. There was something I was interested in finding out, Well, since I was on the job, I made sure to keep a good eye out on the whole thing. That's when someone showed up. It was a man coming from poor Juan's room. It was Engard, man Engardy. He was trying to sneak his way out of Juan's room. He was trying to sneak out of his own room. So Mr. Edgeworth came out of the victim's room. See, it has to be him. He was the murderer. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. I'm surprising you're letting me do this, seeing as you just want to get this wrapped up. Please don't hurt yourself doing a voice. I could do it for a while. It's just, if it's more than an hour, then obviously I'm going to start hurting. Miss Oldbag, what was your post again? Oh, post on that night? The lobby. I was supposed to help with set up the stage for the trifling show. But I refused to help, I'll have you know. It was one of the lead-headed samurai shows. I even took out a few of the nails. Maybe it was a good thing the show didn't go on. Besides, the manager with the glasses seemed to be working hard on it without me. So I thought I'd take a break and spread my wings a little. And that's when you went to the hang around the victim's door? Something you were interested in, and what was that? It's not some little, it's not just some little thing I just go around telling everyone, you know? It's a top secret between me and Juan. An edgy poo, of course. Mr. Edgeworth, what is this thing she's interested in? I have no idea. I despise gossip, Your Honor. Gossip? But should it prove relevant, we can always have it happen to her testimony later. Looks like we shouldn't force it right now. Did the witness say anything in the vicinity of the victim's door the entire time? Oh, then would you tell us the number of people who went in and out of Mr. Corrida's room? I have no idea. I wasn't born so I could count things for those who didn't pay attention in class. That's why ever since I turned 20, I quit keeping track of how old I really am. Yes, well, that would explain why your age was not included in the report. In any case, the witness saw someone, correct? Who in the world was that? I'm not allowed to say. This sort of information has to be carefully guarded from the masses, Sonny. The man that came out of Juan's room, he was... Yes? He was... I'm too scared. I can't say his name out loud. Oh, well, I wouldn't give to have Francisca's whip right about now. I wonder, now that I think about it, I wonder if they did it intentionally because they didn't want Francisca whipping an old woman. Because she whips everyone else. I would hope it probably would have been deserved, but they'd probably be like, that would be seeing as though we're ageists or something. Well, I guess I could tell you, since he was such a bad boy anyway. You saw my client? Are you sure about that? Yesy. Really? Annoying brat, when I saw someone, I saw that person. Why do I get the sense of deja vu? Maybe to avoid a repeat of last year, I should delve into this a bit further. Person's clothes. Because last time she didn't mention that they were wearing a costume. Please tell the court about the man's clothes in more detail. What a troublesome young man you are. Really, as if something like that matters. I'm sure because the fan base demanded he return. Yeah, that too. I mean, obviously, Edgeworth would still return. I just think that the first trial, they did intentionally get rid of Von Karma, so then they could do this. But it does. Now, that was it. Oh, yes, it was that thing. What thing? That gaudy thing he's always wearing, that racing jacket. Ah, he was wearing that at the detention center, too. That thing's meant for nothing but seducing women out of their pantaloons. Men. Right. So, Mr. Wright, was the testimony just now important or relevant to any way? It was very important because he wasn't wearing that. Of course it was important, Your Honor. Then perhaps you would like to point to that what part of the testimony was important. Don't you see it, Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that the witness said about the jacket be appended to her testimony. I don't quite see where you're going with this, but all right. Witness, please. Ah, well, I don't like to badmouth anyone without reason, but if I must. Do I have to show... No, I don't show this. Your Honor, that statement contradicts his evidence. It does? I don't see anything contradictory. Huh? Really? Objection denied. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Wright. No, I refuse to thunk. My brain no good. Whoops, that didn't go so well. Would it be the button then?
Objection!
Yeah, it is the button because it says it was found in her karma. I agree, Francisco would be much more of the side. Oh, no, I didn't mean that. I just mean as though that it would have been fun to have her here, so then she would whip Miss Oldbag because she deserves it. But I like Francisco. I think she's one of the best characters. But that's just me, you know. Just because she's the best girl. Miss Oldbag. What? Don't say my name for no reason. Do you know what this is? Ah, it's a button number 2 on Gemma Ninja's costume. Now I know she's an obsessed fan. She identified it in a single glance. Give it here! Give it here! If you don't give it to me, I'll punch you with this! Wow, she really is a die-hard fan to want a button covered in blood. This button was discovered on Matt Engard's body during a full body search. See? This button proves beyond a shadow of a doubt it was that rascal Engard. He was caught up in the pleats of his Nickel Samurai Hakama pants. See? And Engard is the Nickel Samurai. Witness, now it might just be me, and I do have an active imagination, but just now, didn't you say that the defendant, Matt Engard, was wearing his usual racing jacket? Ah, I'm sorry. Sorry that they judge people based on what they wear. If I wanted the trendiest dress, then maybe I was with this gorgeous woman, but instead I had to put up with wearing this ridiculous outfit. You'd agree this outfit's hideous, right? I take tape recorder on my chest, and let me tell you, it's heavy. So heavy, I wish I could switch to CDs ages ago, but I keep in that dream alive for those kids all out there. Work hard, you know, I understand? Now take a look in the mirror. Your clothes are about as interesting as a documentary on curling. You should take out on the edgy poo. Now he's got style. I actually managed to keep up with that. I think they slowed that one down. Now hold your tongue still there for 1 second. So what you saw in actuality was not Mr. Engard, the man, but Mr. Engard, the Nickel Samurai. But when you think about it, they're really one and the same anyway. Miss Oldbag, this is a very important point we're talking about. Edgy Poo, do you think so too? Well, it might be something worth considering. Just say it's important and we can agree for a change. Good job doing a ramblings. Thanks. Witness, think carefully and try and remember as much as you can before you testify. All right, if you insist. I should be the one sighing, not you. Who I saw. Engard. Yes, now I remember. Nickel Samurai, that's right. It was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Yes, it would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. He had to go to that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime, you know. So he must have worn the Nickel Samurai costume when he was stabbing poor Juan. Well, that's wrong, because he was actually strangled. I knew it. I knew you'd say he was inside that costume. What? Do you think that could have been someone else inside that costume? Don't be a bad little boy thinking such rude things. But the possibility does exist. You did it last time. Ah, youngins today. I told you there's no way it was anyone else. How do you know that? Because I said so. And what do I say is the truth? At least she's as delightful a witness as she was a year ago. Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Would you please get on with your testimony? What's your language, young man? What sort of tone is that to take with an elder? My youthfulness isn't what it used to be, so you should forgive me for everything. If you keep on barking at me like that, I'll start singing at the top of my lungs. What? A striking figure by the sea, standing all alone is he. He's a Nickel Samurai. She's actually singing, so please help my poor ears. Mr. Edgeworth, can you please do something about the racket? A witness? I'll give you a piece of gum later if you'll be good and stick to the facts. Okay. You promise, right? All right. I'll be sending the bill for the chewing gum to your office at a later date. Remind me to send you a thank you note later too, Edgeworth, old chum. I miss Franny already. Be a little more careful with your testimony, please. Not long ago, you said he was wearing his racing jacket, and now he's not? Not too long ago. And let me ask you this. When you were itty bitty, what was your grand dream? Huh? What do you want to be when you grow up, whippersnapper? My dream, huh? Well, I wanted to be Judge Wagner, hero of the public's record. Or public's court. So what? See? And look at that where you are now. You're not Judge Wagner, are you? Are you? Well, what I said earlier. Who puts any weight to things like that? The now is everything. I can't be held responsible for the past. It's not as though I killed thousands of people. Since when did court become theatrics over testimonies? Ever since the first game. What are you talking about? All that matters is the man that's inside that costume. Isn't that enough? Judge Wagner. I don't know who that is either, so... Mr. Olberg's claimed that it was the Nickel Samurai that I saw. Oh, okay. That was an achievement. And why would you do that? That way, no one would see his face, of course. But there's still no advantage for him that I can see. In fact, you would think the costume would make him stand out all the more. You're such an annoying child, you know that? You disagree with everything I say. Isn't that what you're always doing to me? I got it. Maybe it was more troublesome for him to change in and out of his costume. Was there anyone else scheduled to appear at the post-ceremony show? Well, at the contestants, there was supposed to be an onstage friendly gesture thing. And they included the German ninja? Of course it included him. That's why when Engard came out of Dear Juan's room, I didn't give it a second thought. I see. Well, anyway. So let me ask you one last time. The person you saw, it really was a Nickel Samurai? As sure as ever. Haven't I been saying that from the very beginning? Can I throw in the towel yet? You don't need to think too hard on this one. Huh? There's a contradiction in a testimony. It's sitting in plain sight. The question is what that contradiction means for us. Well, I have to figure out what you're talking about first, but okay. I think it's because she knows that he was stabbed, but she wouldn't have known that. Nope. Skip. Gonna save. Mia, why can't you take over for me? If you're so sure of what it is, why don't you do it? Let's start from the beginning. It would have been convenient for him to wear his costume during the murder. I don't think I can present anything here. He had to go by that post-ceremony stage show right after the crime. Mr. wore the Nickel Samurai's costume when he went stabbing poor Juan. I am thinking about it, because I don't know what you're talking about. It's got to be the last line, but I don't know what to present here. I actually don't know. people, perhaps? Maybe? But I don't know who I would show in that case. Because, I mean, obviously I could ask about if she saw Adrian Andrews, but... I might as well. Nah. You can help anytime, Mia. Wasn't the stage show cancelled? The stage show was cancelled because of the murder, though. So... I don't know about that. I don't know then. Knife? Maybe? Oh, okay. I guess. Please take a look at this. I need to know what this is about now. Yeah, so it's a knife. Big deal. You're trying to scare me with that, I'll have you know it won't work. No, that's not my intention at all. The knife that was used in the murder, correct? Your Honor, do you know why this piece of evidence is important to this case? You don't even need to ask. It's because the defendant... Oh! God. That's stupid. Like, because that had nothing to do with what she said. She said it must have been when she was stabbing poor Juan, which everyone thought, and now just suddenly, oh, well, if he was wearing his costume, he shouldn't have left prints, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. But that isn't what she said. But whatever. Is that what you're driving at? That is exactly what I'm driving at. What are we driving at? Whose car are we driving? Mr. Edgeworth. If Mr. Engard was really in the Nickel Samurai's costume at the time of the murder, then it's impossible for his fingerprints to have been left on this knife. Actually, he would have been wiped all previous fingerprints off of it. Oh, that's right. The Nickel Samurai wears gloves, doesn't he? He probably took his gloves off before he began the stabbing. And why would he do something like that? To leave his prints on the murder weapon? There is no way he would do something like that. Yeah, Edgeworth. However, there is one possibility. Then let's see your possibility. It's very simple. The defendant went to the victim's room while he was in the Nickel Samurai's costume. At that time, the defendant had no intent to murder. He was probably just going to relax and talk with the victim about the stage show. Come on, Edgeworth. That's just terrible. Which is why he took off his gloves. But the murder still did take place. It's well known that there was no bad blood, or there was bad blood between the defendant and the victim. Yes, I've heard about that before. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you have to say about Mr. Edgeworth's theory? So let me get this straight. Edgeworth's theory goes like this. When the defendant went to the victim's room, he had no intention of killing him. Now, up to this point, are there any problems with this theory? Yes. Because he wouldn't have brought the knife otherwise. This theory contradicts something in an earlier testimony. What are you babbling about? Now, for an argument's sake, let's suppose Mr. Engar was the killer. If that's the case, I think it's possible for the killer to have gone to the murder's room, or victim's room, without intent. A knife. This knife. This was used by Mr. Engard at dinner. Yes, we did establish that. Which means that if my client was in fact the killer, then he brought this knife with him when he went to visit Mr. Corrida. I suppose. However, what you just said is, you said it yourself. At that time, the defendant had no... I think he would actually do it in a mocking tone. It's like, at that time, the murder had no intent on the murder. Ooh. If that were true, then they wouldn't bring a knife, would he? He wouldn't, would he? Which means, Mr. Edgeworth, your theory was flawed from supposition 1. And one more thing. If the victim was wearing a costume at the time of the murder, then there should be a glove marks left on the knife. Which means the defendant's fingerprints shouldn't be all over it like bees on a hive. And that brings me to my final point. Right, would totally do that. This knife was planted on the real killer to hide their identity and mislead us. Order, I say. Order in the court. Was this knife really planted on the killer? Or by the killer? Why would the murderer do such a thing? To hide the murder method, to frame that. Well, obviously, to frame that. To frame my client, Mr. Engard, of course. To frame? Aren't you forcing the interpretation just a little too hard on this one?
Objection!
We just established that the witness saw the nickel samurai in costume. And if that were true, then there shouldn't be a single fingerprint on this knife. Witness? Looks like he made your life a tiny bit more difficult, huh, Reggie Poo? Witness, did you or did you not really see the nickel samurai? Well, I guess at first I might have forgotten, but... Are you saying you mixed up Mr. Engard with the nickel samurai, his TV character? But I mean, I can't really do anything about that now. Look, I was waiting around in front of their doors because, well, I wasn't waiting around for the nickel samurai, that's for sure. She wasn't waiting for the nickel samurai. All right, then. Who were you waiting around for, then? That's top secret to anyone but outside of security. I have a feeling that you were waiting for Mr. Juan Crida, am I correct, witness? The way you think, you're a sad amateur with a terrible case of nearsightedness. Amateur? Me? What am I an amateur of? So Old Dog was waiting around in front of the victim's room. But it doesn't sound like she was waiting to catch a glimpse of Mr. Crida. Hey, Rafa-chan, welcome. Maybe. Phoenix, maybe the old bag was waiting around for that person. If it's who I think Mia is hitting at, it's certainly possible. I need to save. Because I don't want to die here, because otherwise I have to do all of that again. You were waiting around for this person to come out of the victim's room, weren't you? It was for AA.
Take that!
Who is this person? This is Adrian Andrews, Mr. Engard's manager. But why would the defendant's manager be in the victim's room? It seems that this is the latest room in circulation, Your Honor. Oh, this is... Well, this is... Ah, I see. The judge seems to be really into the article, if it can be called such a thing. This manager with the initials AA. Are you saying it's... Adrian Andrews? Without a doubt, the witness thought so as well. Heh. Looks like you found me out. Well, that's fine. I can throw away this whole sworn to confidentiality stuff then. Witness? What in the world are you... Watch out, Phoenix. I've got a bad feeling about this. A very bad feeling. I got some information. Some very secret information from a certain source. So, that's why I was doing my own little investigation. In secret, of course. But what for? Oh, just for myself. Personal reasons and all that. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, how would you proceed from here? I really don't want to do this. However, I cannot simply let this point slide. Honestly, I think the judge will be a total gossip guy. Oh, yeah, he's definitely like... He's looking at all the latest news. I see. Very well then, witness. Please testify about this secret information. Well, the sooner I can go home and have my... he said, and have my wife. No, and get home to my wife. Be great. Although he might not even be married. I don't know. We don't know much about this guy other than he's a judge. And old. Get ready. This has got to take the wind out of you young'uns. I'm sure we're capable of handling this. Really, it's not like we're 10 years old. Secret information. The Engard is one evil man. He thought he could ruin poor Juan by causing a huge scandal. So to do that, he sent his own manager to get close to Juan. We cannot condone such dirty tricks, so I took our action. Oh, and the top secret, you got that? Nobody else is but you and me know yet, okay? He has children and grandchildren. Okay, son, yes. I thought I remembered something about that. The defendant sent his manager? What a distasteful topic for this court. So murder's fine, but talking about having a relationship is not good. What? What? Nobody's above gossip. And isn't that a saying? The truth is never pleasant. Never heard that one before. Mr. Edgeworth, what about this Adrian Andrews person? We have looked into this matter and found that the truth of the article this proposes is, in fact, baseless gossip. But should this be true? This proves that the defendant did bear ill will towards the victim. Murder good, gossip bad. Hey, Aragorn, welcome. So this means I have to smash this rumor once and for all. And now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness again. Be careful. The old bag seems rather excited right now. That's right. Engard is nothing but your average foul-blooded youth. Well, as the old saying goes, you gotta burn old bags with fire. Who says that? No one says that. That's the first time I've heard that. Time to fire up the afterburners and hit the highway to the danger zone. Okay, you can stop, Phoenix. I think he mentions them in the third game, but he brings them up a lot in the sequels. Okay, because I remember in the first game he did it in, like, the last case. So.
Hold it!
You can't say something like that without proof. That's just slander. But it's true. That one with the that woman was getting intimate with Juan. Look, it says right here, doesn't it? Manager to the stars, Miss AA. But the name of the gossip this magazine this came from is Gossipland. What? Are you saying that gossip is just a pack of lies? It's not lies per se, but it's just saying something that they assume is correct. Huh. What do you know? I suppose next you'll swear to me that the news is 100% truth. Honestly, Sonny, you can't discriminate between the news and gossip. Yes, discrimination is bad, Mr. Wright. Discriminate? When did I do anything like that? Anyway, Engard will never get... Oh. Anyway, Engard will never get me to say touche. Or as she would say, tush. A scandal? What do you mean by that? You're a dim-witted one, aren't you? I can't believe you don't know what a scandal is. Honestly, what are they teaching kids in middle school these days? No, I wasn't asking what the word scandal means. Even I know that much. Well, that Engard thought he could own a monopoly on popularity. You don't have any proof that Mr. Engard did any such thing. You must be suffering from shock. The shock of hearing the truth. And now, since you're in so much shock, you can't do anything right. You're right. I can't do anything. But boy, do I wish I could do something about you. Okay, Phoenix. All right, then, Sonny, show me what you got. Can you show me some proof that Engard didn't bear any ill will towards Yuan? I don't think I have anything. Decline. I don't have anything to offer. Also, honestly, gossip is 99% lies. As long as it's juicy, the publisher will publish it. They don't care who gets hurt by it. True. See? Just as I thought. And you're lecturing me about saying things about proof. You just give me a free pass to say whatever I want, whenever I want, silly boy. Me and my big mouth. That's the way the cookie crumbles. For you, anyway. So, what do you mean by I took action? Like, I already told you. I was laying in wait close to the crime scene. Once that slimy woman came out of Juan's room, I was going to capture her and teach her a good lesson. Something you young'uns need. You were going to teach her a good lesson? I was going to make her eat the damaging beams in my ray gun. Like this. No, stop. He's so scared. Well, it's too bad that woman didn't come through the door that night. Local attorney Felix Wright charged with the murder of his victim, Miss Oldbag, residents celebrate.
Hold it!
Wait. What? I'm a busy woman. Take time away with the kids is over. Secret information that no one else knows yet. If that's true, then how do you know this is secret information? Huh? Well, that's because I'm a pro. Yeah, that's it. It's a secret. Even if you were drilled a hole in my brain, you will never find out. How in the world did that old bat get the secret piece of information? I know how. So no one else is supposed to know the secret information, correct? If that's true, then why do you know it, Miss Oldbag? Well, why are you looking at me like that? Stop that. Witness. I hate to say it, but this is how you came to acquire the information, isn't it? Oops.
Take that!
The investigative photographer, Lotta Hart. Oh yes, I remember that mischievous girl. She reported that she had lost a certain note she had written to herself. She reported such a thing? On that piece of paper, she had written down some of her outrageous impressions about the relationship between the victim and Miss Andrews. What? Outrageous ideas, you say? No, I said impressions. Then everything written on this paper is completely meaningless. Ah, that's it, that's the note. No, you see, this is something completely different. This is my top secret list of groceries to buy. I can't do that. Then you are the one who took Mrs. Hart's note. I'm a huge fan of ones, that's why. That infamous puffy-head whippersnapper. She's working with that evil Engard. She said so herself. Engard, I'm his sidekick. She was so happy, smiling like a silly duck. He was only checking what she had written. Etchy-poo, you believe me, right, don't you? I was only trying to help out like the angel I am. It's only one little piece of paper. I've never taken anything else before. You really should come with a supply of cheese to match your vintage wine. Well, it was only a piece of paper, so I suppose we can overlook this just once. She looks like she's really sorry. Should I forgive her? No! No! She took evidence that was really important to the case. Or could have been. If I let up her now, she'll get away. I have to find some way to inflict a deafening blow to the prosecution. Witness, you said that the only thing you stole was that note. Is this correct? Stole? Why don't you just listen more carefully, you annoying brat? I saved this piece of paper from the terrible, lonely trash can, that's all. You're lying, damn it, and I can prove it. Are you putting my credibility under scrutiny again? Miss Oldbag, I don't believe that the note was the only thing you stole that night, because it was the camera as well. Miss Oldbag, that note was with a camera inside its case, wasn't it? A camera? Yesterday, Lotta Hart was raising a huge stink over her camera. She kept saying something like, "My Sweetie Pie 1600 camera disappeared on me." What? Witness! What is it, Gramps? If you have the note, then it's only logical that you have the camera too. Looks like you found me out again, Sonny. Is this the camera you're looking for? That's... What? Even though I look like this, I'm still a person, you know? I still eat meals like I fall in love, and I borrow things from people. I think your definition of borrow is a little off. I saw that woman's business card, and that's when I noticed it said, Slimebags Celebrity Photographer Extraordinaire. Skippy. I'm trying to make it an acronym or something. When I saw that, I knew that I had what sort of pictures she had taken. I'm a professional security guard. It's my business to know these things. Bailiff, check the camera's photos, hurry. You must examine them at once. Dear Lord, she's the U.S. military. Well, Mr. Edgeworth, what do we have? There is only one photo that seems to be relevant to this case. Please present it to the court. Oh. This is the Nickel Samurai. Apparently there's a door down the hallway I didn't see before. Wait, no. This must be the opposite way. Yeah, because we would come through that door, and then down the other way would be the toilets. See, I told you, that's the guy I saw. That proves that the witness was not lying earlier about this matter. Honest photo added to the court record. What does this all mean, Mr. Edgeworth? This photo by itself does not prove that the person is the defendant. However, in his own confession, Mr. Matt Engard clearly stated that at the time of the murder, he was still in his Nickel Samurai costume. If that is the case, then this Nickel Samurai is the defendant. How did it come to this? I think this brings us to the end. We have examined every piece of evidence thoroughly. No, you didn't. You just got this and just went, oh, it's Matt Engard. Okay. Final comments, Mr. Wright. The court will consider them before we close. Do you agree that this photo is decisive evidence against your client? If this photo really is decisive, then we're done for. If I raise an objection here and blow it, then I'll put Maya's life in jeopardy. You can't make a mistake here. There's only one road out of this mess. This photo that Lotto took, there's something strange. There's something strange with this photo. I knew this was coming, right? Your thoughts, Mr. Edgeworth? I think we can all agree there is nothing strange with this photo. There is no way that for the defense to debunk this photo, even with a bunker buster. Debunk with a bunker buster? Is that what you're planning to do, Mr. Wright? Anyway, please look at the photo one more time. He's like, hey, don't ignore me. I'm the judge. If you really believe you can honestly find something wrong with this photo, you better save so you can make sure you get it right. And you should only need one chance, correct? Well, I have to find something wrong with this photo. I can let this chance go by. Where in the heck did she take this photo from anyway? It's all out of focus. Why can't you make it take a good shot, especially when it counts? What are you talking about? It's a really great shot. If it was out of focus, we wouldn't have to tell anything. Now, let's see your objection. What about the photo is strange? It's the same as last time, man. The legs. I would like to direct the court's attention to this area right here. What are you pointing to? His ankles? If you could see the person's ankles, that would be one thing. However, you can't. And what does that mean? The costume person in this photo could not have been Mr. Engard. What is the meaning of this? I wonder if you would care to elaborate what actual facts that is, with actual facts. Let's take a look at the Nickel Samurai poster. Please pay particular attention to the area around the bottom of the hakama. His socks. You can see his socks. Exactly. However, in this photo, the Nickel Samurai is clearly holding his hakama up just to walk. There is only one explanation for this. The person inside the costume is clearly much shorter than the defendant. Imagine if they start including heights for like people's descriptions for the next game. I don't think they do, but then you have to get real into keep all the detail. Alright, I think I've turned things around for myself this time. That's curious. Huh? What is? Edgeworth is unusually calm today. That's true. He's just letting the trial run itself, as if he's only along for the ride. Along for the ride? What do you mean by that? I can only guess that perhaps he doesn't feel under attack at all. He doesn't feel under attack? Then haven't I damaged his case at all? They're 5'4", he's 6 foot. Mr. Edgeworth, where does this leave us? If the person in this photo is not Mr. Engard, then everything the prosecution has tried to prove has become meaningless. I figured it would come to this. What? Right, I have something I want to ask you. I think you have proven that the person inside this costume is not Mr. or Matt Engard. In that case, who is the photo of? Who's the person wearing the Nickel Samurai costume? Don't stress out over this, Phoenix. It's very simple. Well, why don't you present it then? If it's so simple, why don't you say anything? Why is it always got to be me? What you should be focused on is Edgeworth's attitude, don't you think? Yeah, why is he so calm? Mr. Wright, please let's hear your thoughts. Who is the person in the photograph?
Take that!
Adrian Andrews. If you want to know who that nickel samurai is, it is none other than this woman. Why would you say it must be Miss Andrews? What in the world points you to her? For starters, she's short. Because she's short, she's a criminal. And she can freely move in and out of Mr. Engard's room. Finally, she had dinner with Mr. Engard that night. And how does that all add up? It means that it makes it very easy for her to get a certain item. A certain knife with Mr. Engard's fingerprints all over it. The knife that was used as the murder weapon. Why don't you just say what it is you want, Wright? I have to do this now. This is my last chance to turn things around. The defense moves to indict Miss Adrian Andrews in the murder of Juan Corrida. It was Miss Adrian Andrews who tried to frame the defendant for the crime. Order! 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 Looks like this trial has hit an unexpected development. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor? This court is issuing a subpoena for Miss Adrian Andrews. The verdict cannot be passed without first hearing her testimony. Alright, this is it. This is kind of bad for us. Huh? What do you mean? If Adrian Andrews is summoned to court as a witness, it means that the trial will go on for another day. One more day? Ah! If I don't get a verdict today, then Maya. Now then, we shall set Miss Andrews' testimony for tomorrow. What am I supposed to do? The judge is about to adjourn the court. He's desperate enough. I think he would raise an objection. Now then. Please, Your Honor, continue the trial. You must pass a verdict today. I can't do that. I cannot hear Miss Adrian Andrews' testimony in this. Who said hold it? It wasn't you. You didn't say anything. I abhor wasting such valuable time. Edgeworth? Your Honor, I request that you please continue with today's trial. But we cannot continue due to this unexpected development. Tisk, tisk. Unexpected development? I think you're underestimating me, Your Honor. Well, what do you mean by that? That Mr. Phoenix Wright would slave his way to subpoenaing Mr. Adrian Andrews is all happening according to plan. Even if Wright is not... whatever. I accidentally skipped it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? What is the meaning of your statement, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Adrian Andrews is currently waiting in the prosecution's lobby. She is the next witness. Everything was planned out in advance by that man? Are we playing Guilty Gear now? That man? Somehow I knew there was no way Edgeworth would overlook Miss Andrews. Looks like this battle is far from over. Exactly. Very well, we will call the next witness. Your Honor, you literally wanted to end the trial after one testimony and 2 pieces of evidence earlier. However, before we proceed, we shall take a 10-minute recess. Please prepare your witness in that time, Mr. Edgeworth. The court will take a 10-minute recess. You just said that, but I guess just say it again. God, that felt like it was hours. How long have we actually been going? Probably not. Oh, it's been in an hour, but not a whole 2 hours. So I guess keep going. (2:14 p.m.) Dude, I can't believe that alien. No way! How cool and collected Adrian Andrews. For investigation, that's how Edgeworth refers to Wright because they couldn't mention him. She's your manager. It would have been very easy for her to pull this off. The only person who had easy access to the knife you used at dinner was, well, her. So, after the ceremony during the break... Huh? I was sleeping like a log the entire time, dude. See, she could have also easily planted that blood-covered button in your hakama. Huh. Because she was the one that came to wake me up? Oh, then, dude, just saying it was literally her? Yes, she is the real killer. She was the one who murdered Juan Corrida. But why? I thought she was buds with Juan. She has her own agenda. Her own agenda? What are you talking about? I'm sure you'll see by the time this trial's over. It'll be alright. I'll get you acquitted by the end of the day. Get me a verdict that's refreshing like a spring breeze, okay, Mr. Lawyer Dude? Phoenix, you think a motive is related to Celeste Impact's missing suicide note, right? Yes. Miss Adrian Andrews depended on Miss Impact as her death, or her strength, and reason to live. We'll just say this in front of our client. But then Miss Impact suddenly killed herself. It sounded like she left a suicide note and the person thought to have hidden it is Juan Corrida, the victim of the murder. And that's why I think that Mr. Andrews got close to Mr. Corrida, all to get the suicide note back. That sounds plausible, but one thing bothers me. What? Who was it that first told us about their relationship? Better stated, Miss Adrian's own dependency issues with regards to Mrs. Impact's. It was Edgeworth. It looks like he's still the one in command of this ship. Don't let your guard down yet. He's literally like, look at me. I am the captain now. 2:15 or 2:25 p.m. That's what, 11 minutes later? Court will now reconvene. Now then, Mr. Edgeworth, if you please. The prosecution calls the witness subpoenaed by this court. Miss Adrian Andrews, the person who discovered the crime, is in Mr. Corrida's room. Now, she should be easier to voice. What is your occupation? I am the manager of the defendant's case, Mr. Matt Engard. I see. Now then. Before we begin, Your Honor, I have one request. Yeah, sure. What is it? Wait, how did Mia know that? She wasn't at the police headquarters. She read Pearl's mind, I guess. I don't know. I'm sure everyone in this courtroom is wondering the same thing, and would love to find out more about my relationship with the victim. After all, it was a topic of a certain weekly magazine recently. No, I have no idea what you mean. I've never heard of a gossip land. If the judge was ever a prosecution witness, he would do all the work for me. Anyway, I was wondering if you would please tell us about your relation to the victim. Yes, I was seeing Mr. Corrida. I was also aware of the rivalry that existed between Matt and Juan. But this is a private matter between Juan and myself. She had the script, I guess. So it was a fry and bait matter. Or was that bait and fry? Reminds me of fishing. But I didn't kill him. And no one is accusing you of that. I think there's someone who would beg to differ. I think we all understand your relationship with the victim now, Mrs. Andrews. Or Miss. Very well then. Witness, please testify to the court about what happened when you discovered the murder that had taken place. When I found the body. That's a long title. It was time for the show to start, so I went to get Matt from his room. After that, I went to Juan's room. And there was his dead body. I was in shock. What I saw was naturally the exact same scene as in the crime scene photo. It felt as though I was about to faint, so I poured myself a glass of juice. You poured yourself a glass of juice? Yes, sadly, I didn't remember not to touch things at the crime scene, or at the scene of a crime. And I disturbed the scene by moving this one thing. And that is when your fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor? Oh. And that was when the fingerprints on the wine glass were made, Your Honor. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine the witness. Phoenix, she is one cool and collected customer, and she has the brains to match. Yes, I know. In order to match a person like her, you have to avoid head-on confrontations. You should disrupt her pacing. Disrupt her pacing? She's the type of woman who is easily thrown off by things inconsistent with her thinking. So you have to track when she least expects it. The instant you let up on your offense is the instant the trial is over. Understand? Okay, so I've got to press her on everything then. Hello, my name is Adrian Andrews. Is your name really Adrian Andrews? Little save. No, because I only have like one hit left. If I get hit again, I'm down. And what was Mr. Engard doing at the time? He was taking a nap. He was worn out from his mini performance on the Nickel Samurai during the ceremony. Mr. Engard did say he was taking a nap. And I guess he could have said he could not have taken out of his room, yes? Excuse me? What are you...
Objection!
Right. I thought the years of school would have taught you how to construct a sentence. If you can't make a sensible sentence with a subject, then I'll make one for you. Watch. Did you, Miss Andrews, remove Mr. Engard's knife from his room? No. Subject, verb, object, right? Did you skip basic grammar? The witness may continue.
Hold it!
And why did you do that? As a friendly gesture, Juan was made an appearance with the other heroes. So the show was supposed to be a show of friendship, huh? Is that the only reason? I beg your pardon? What are you implying? You had a certain goal in mind when you started to get close to them, correct? So perhaps you had a more personal matter to discuss with the victim? Sorry, but I didn't have any such intentions in mind at that time. I can't get her to talk without a strong piece of evidence, I guess. May we continue now? Oh, witness, what did you see when you got to his room?
Hold it!
You were in shock? What is this shock? What? Was I not supposed to be? Miss Adrian Andrews is a very calculating person, and despite how close they were, I doubt she had a romantic feelings for Mr. Corrido. Anyone randomly stumbling upon a dead body would be in shock. And you can't seriously expect that a woman, or that a young beauty like her would not be shocked. Weird thing to comment on, but sure. Somehow, I don't think beauty has anything to do with being shocked or not. I see.
Hold it!
This is the photo you're referring to, correct? Yes, the one with the knife lodged in his chest. And the guitar case was like this too? Yes, it was open and empty, of course. And then, what did you do next, witness? The judge literally throws a book at you.
Hold it!
Juice? Yes, there was a bottle of tomato juice on the table, so I helped myself. But you didn't drink any of it, did you? Huh? There was no lip marks left on this glass, to suggest that anyone drank from it. I wasn't feeling terribly great, so I just set the glass down without drinking it. Miss Andrews, I would like to confirm with you one more time. When you discovered the dead body of Juan Corrida, you were in great shock. And that's when you poured yourself the glass of juice, correct? And what of it? My mind was really completely blank at the time. Your mind was completely blank? I don't think that was possible for you. Aren't you rude today? I was so dazed that I made one careless mistake. That one thing. What one thing? Never mind. It's no big deal. What was she gonna say just now? Even Edwards be slimping over AA. I mean, yeah. Miss Andrews, I'm convinced that, as you said, you made a mistake at the scene of the crime. What I really want to know is what this mistake was. Actually, so would I. I'm sorry, it's kind of embarrassing. When I set the glass on the dresser, I accidentally knocked the flower vase over. Flower vase? Are you talking about the one on the floor in the crime scene? This mess of glass shards? It was originally on top of the dresser, but when I bumped into it with my elbow, it fell onto the guitar case. Why did you withhold such important information? I'm sorry. I thought that since the crime scene was already in disarray, that people would simply assume that the vase was just another part of the mess. It looks like yet another fact has come to light here. Please add this and anything else you have to reveal to your testimony. I'm sorry, but I have nothing more to add. I didn't touch anything else. Well, we have a problem there, don't we?
Objection!
You testified that you knocked the flower vase over, is this correct? Yes. And you were sure it fell onto the guitar case? Is there some problem with what I said? It's not some problem, it's a major problem. It's true that the top of the guitar case was wet with water. However, that's exactly what is so strange. Miss Andrews, you testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. However, if that was true, the case should have gotten wet on the inside, not the outside. You stupid woman! It just suddenly becomes so aggravated at her for no reason. Why don't you just tell the truth already, goddammit? That's very true. Furthermore, there's one other strange thing about this guitar case. Alright, Raffatron, thanks for dropping by. And what is that? Let's take another look at the crime scene photo. The remains of the vase are scattered on the floor. And what is wrong with that? If the guitar case was open when the vase fell, the glass shards should be inside, not the outside the case.
Objection!
What is your point, Wright? That the case was closed at the time the vase was knocked over? Is that all? No. Think back to what Miss Andrews testified to. She said that other than the vase, she didn't touch anything else. Yes, that's right. She didn't implicitly say that she didn't touch the guitar case.
Objection!
But this whole matter with the guitar case is a dead end. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. It has no bearing on this case at all. That may very well be. However, the empty guitar case does seem to have no relation to this case, doesn't it? It seems that there is no deeper meaning to the guitar case. Well, Mr. Wright, do you think we need to hear more details about the guitar case? I would say yes, because if we just drop it, then it's just not going to be relevant. It would just be a wasted time going through this. The empty guitar case. I believe this is a crucial piece of the puzzle. I can't believe anyone would reach for straws like this, but it is you. Can't believe I'm doing this either. Alright, I'll follow along for now. You say, Miss Andrews, please testify to the court about the guitar case. Yes, Your Honor. The guitar case. I don't remember too clearly because I was a bit dazed. I suppose I must have opened the guitar case after I knocked the vase over. It's not a big deal though, right? The case was empty after all. As for why I opened the case, even I don't know. Looks like this really wasn't a very important point. This was wastefulness is such a familiar feeling by now that it's almost comforting. Anyway, I'll just go ahead and start the cross-examination. Huh. Using anyway to change the topic, a convenient escape for a weak man. Shut up, Edgeworth! Shut up! I'm sorry, but she's just cute, okay? I wish she showed up more, but I get that she's only here for this one case. I just really like her. Shut up, we're going on. During your testimony just now, did you remember those events clearly in your mind? Well, you see... Are you sure you were the one who opened the guitar case? She's waiting for someone to tell her if she should answer or not. Sounds like her dependent side has taken over. Right in his head, God, I hate you. Well, Miss Andrews? Yes, it was me. So you opened the guitar case then? Yes, well, maybe. Why did you open the guitar case? Huh? Miss Corrida's dead body was right there in front of you, wasn't it? I would think that the first thing you would do is call for help, not open a guitar case.
Objection!
As the witness has said multiple times, when she found the dead body, she was dazed. Actually, she didn't. She said she was in shock. But got it. Maybe I was curious to know if the bright red guitar was alright or not. I thought maybe the criminal took it. Why would she care about the bright red guitar? But getting back on topic,
Hold it!
was it really empty? I was just wondering if maybe when you opened the case, the guitar was still inside.
Objection!
How long have you been a lawyer, Mr. Wright? Have a little professionalism. The bright red guitar was found at the studio. These trials would be over in half the time if you would just pay attention. Yes, pay more attention, Mr. Wright. Sorry.
Hold it!
Was that because you were shocked and dazed at discovering the victim's body? Yes, that's probably it. I'm not going to get anywhere if I continue pressing you like this. The only way to make her talk is with evidence. I guess I should give it a try. Come on, Phoenix, we can't afford to let up on her now. I wasn't planning on letting up. She's at her weakest now, so this is our chance. Yeah, if we had a weapon to hit her with. I'm sure a weapon is hiding somewhere in the courtroom, waiting to be found. Come on, stop hitting me over the head. I get it. There's a weapon. Oh, maybe there's a weapon, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, in the court record. If only I had a weapon. Hold on a minute. Her fingerprints aren't on it.
Objection!
There is no way you were the one who opened the guitar case. Why would you say that? It's elementary, my dear. Because the only fingerprints on the case were those of the victim. What is it, Miss Andrews? You shouldn't assume that I must have left prints just because I touched the case. What do you mean? What if I were to tell you that I was wearing gloves at the time? Gloves? But why would you be wearing gloves at the time? It was the night of the award ceremony. So of course I dressed up for the occasion. You did not. We saw you. You were not dressed up. Yes, now I remember. I'm almost sure I was wearing a pair of thin gloves. I see. Well, Mr. Wright, it seems the witness was wearing gloves at the scene of the crime. That's strange. You're wearing gloves? Isn't that a little strange? Why is that strange? Do you have something that would prove that I was not wearing gloves at the time? Yeah, the glass.
Take that!
I have your proof right here. This wine glass. The wine glass? You left your fingerprints very clearly on this wine glass. Oh shit. Even if you took your gloves off when you poured yourself the glass of juice, wouldn't you think it was just a little strange that you put your fingers, that you put your gloves back on, you put your fingers back on, just open the case. Ah! Oh, she just has another pair of glasses, okay. Order! Looks like you hit the nail on the head this time. What do you mean? I believe this guitar case plays a very important role here, but it's just an empty case. I wonder if it really was empty, though. But the guitar, the bright guitar was at the studio. Stop focusing on the guitar, Phoenix. God damn it. Phoenix, drop all of your presumptions. What was in the if the guitar case was not the bright red guitar? You don't mean it was a bright white guitar? Wait, that's not right either. I admit it would be unnatural for someone to do that. So the witness was not wearing gloves, despite the fact that they're on the case. Your Honor, this is obviously the defense's usual misdirection tactic at work. Steer the court towards an unrelated topic and lull us all into his misguided... No, Your Honor, please. Recall that Miss Andrews really had testified that the vase fell onto the guitar case. which means that the case was closed when the crime scene took place. However, it is wide open in this photo of the crime scene. I'm sure this guitar case had some relation to the murder.
Objection!
If you're so sure, Mr. Wright, then I'm sure you can somehow substantiate your outrageous claims was correct. Please enlighten us as to why the guitar head case had nothing to do at all with this murder, or had anything to do. Can you do that, Mr. Wright? Well, let's suppose for a second that the bright red guitar was not the only thing that could have been in the case. The bright red guitar was not the only thing? You don't mean a bright white guitar? So, you intend to push your theory that the case was not empty, is that right? Right? I wouldn't say something that I didn't intend to prove. Deflate that head of yours. You haven't even proved anything yet. And now then, let's have it. What was inside the case at the time of the murder? Oh, I can't save. I'll go with this. And why would something like that be inside a guitar case, let alone this one? Why, Mr. Wright? Why? Well, I must just thought it might have been possible. I have a suggestion. Why don't you put that void where your brain is supposed to be? And yeah, don't bring it out again. Oh, okay. I only took one. I'm going to save now. Kind of foolishly fool, get some love. Okay, so yes, I can save. Whew. Don't want to lose it here. Can you prove that the guitar case was not empty at the time of the murder? I wouldn't say I didn't intend to prove something. Blah, 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 blah. Even Wright is quoting Franny, yeah. Oh. What if it was a costume? Ah.
Take that!
This is a photograph. Yes, but what is important is what is in the picture, Your Honor. In the picture? It doesn't take a genius to see what I mean. What I'm proposing is... Inside the guitar case was a cynical samurai, the hero's own very costume. What? Mr. Wright, explain yourself. Right? Are you saying that the witness opened the guitar case to take out a costume? What insane point would there be to doing something like that? That insane point would be to wear the costume, of course. Miss Andrews put it on to hide her identity so she could make her escape. After all, you couldn't let alone anyone see you leave, could you, Miss Andrews? I refuse to accept your theory. Do you have anything to support such a preposterous idea? Just outside the door was an investigative photographer who was starving for a big scoop. And in the end, she managed to get the shot, correct? You mean this photo? Order, order! It looks like we've wandered into quite another mess again, haven't we? Nice job, Phoenix. Well, you know my strategy. Speak first, think later. So the real murderer was hiding inside a costume. Oh, wait 1 second, Your Honor. The nickel samurai costume would have been Mr. Engard's. Why would something of the defendant be in the victim's room? And inside the guitar case of all places. True, that is quite baffling. Mr. Wright, the court would like to hear your thoughts. Because you made up this theory, you come up with the evidence. What was this nickel samurai costume doing inside the guitar case? It was a spare. Mr. Engard did not take his costume off during the break period. In that case, the costume we were talking about was a spare one. What? Then, are you saying that on the night of the murder, there were 2 nickel samurai costumes at the Gatewater Hotel? Yes, that is what I'm saying. And how do you explain the costume was... that was inside the guitar case. It would mean that the victim himself had brought this spare to the ceremony on purpose. But why? The victim, Mr. Kurita, was the jamming ninja. Why would he secretly bring the Nickel Samurai spare costume with him? What could the reason be behind such a peculiar act? And therein lies the sticking point. What are you mumbling to yourself about now? Have you just been rambling all this time without any sense of inner monologue? Huh? No, Mr. Wright, please explain yourself. Why do you think the victim had the Nickel Samurai spare costume? Phoenix, are you sure you can explain this one? Think carefully before you answer, and then answer with gusto. I believe in you. Alright, this is what I think. The reason the victim brought the Nickel Samurai spare costume to the hotel was the press conference. What is this? On the night of the murder, after the stage show, the Nickel Samurai was going to hold a special press conference. A press conference? Yes, the Nickel Samurai was supposed to confess something at this stage. I heard about that as well. For once, you are not talking out of your ass. I clicked too soon, so I'll just make it up. What struck me was as strange as that Mr. Engard himself said he had no idea he was supposed to be holding a press conference that night. But how can that be? The way I see it, that can only mean one thing. The conference was set up by none other than the victim, Mr. Juan Corrido himself. The victim? Yes, the spare Nickel Samurai costume was prepared for that very conference. Mr. Corrido was going to hold the press conference as the Nickel Samurai. I know where this is going. Well, that's good. He was going to dress up as the Nickel Samurai and hold a conference? But why would the victim do such a thing? That's something I don't quite know yet. However, what I am concerned with right now is what he intended to reveal at that conference. The Nickel Samurai was going to confess something. And by confess, I'd wager he was going to reveal something about himself. Which means that Juan Corrida, posing as the Nickel Samurai, was going to speak about Matt Engard. Yes, I guess this is what it would mean. But if that is the case, that's not a confession, that's public disclosure. Huh. Miss Andrews? I can see why you are pros at what you do. Pardon me? Yes, just as you say, the press conference was set up by Juan. Miss Andrews, please offer us an explanation for this. I was the one he asked to help set it up. And the person who prepared the second costume for him, that was also me. You? Juan had bet everything on this Jammin' Ninja this year. But if he lost the Grand Prix, he was going to make sure Matt was going down with him. That's what he thought, anyway. And he was going to ruin him, huh? It looked like somehow Juan had in his hands a secret so powerful that it would destroy Matt's acting career had it been revealed. What? And do you know what the secret of Mr. Engard is, Miss Andrews? That's something only Juan knew. I don't know what it was. Ah, I see. I'm probably coming off as quite suspicious to everyone, but that's to be expected. I've been trying to protect Matt after all. Protect Mr. Engard? And yet again, another strange bit of truth comes to light, it seems. Or a lie. Miss Andrews, if you could, please tell us the truth about your behavior. Yes, Your Honor, I understand. Protecting Matt. From the moment I saw the crime scene, I had a feeling that Matt was the murderer. Matt had to kill Juan no matter what. And he didn't have an alibi for what he was doing at the time of the murder. My thoughts were confirmed, of course, by the evidence. The button and the knife. But I'm Matt's manager, so I felt I had to protect him. Huh. This does account for everything. Just because she's a manager doesn't mean that they would go out of the way to just implicate or to stop Matt getting implicated or something. What? It's like, oh, my person killed someone, so I buried everything under the rug so then they wouldn't be found out. It was them that killed them, not me. This does account for everything. Well, I am the logical type. We're finally seeing her true self. She's more nervous than a scared rabbit. If the defense can find no fault with this testimony, I'm ready to make a ruling. Please keep in mind that you cross-examine Mr. Wright. Blah. Looks like somehow everything has swung to the opposite end of the scale again. That just means I have to put my weight into this and turn her logic upside down. Or we could say she's an unreliable witness because she has lied multiple times on the stand. But I guess we're not going to do that. And everyone's just going to go along with that she's right. Save. Save. How would you say that was your intuition speaking to you? Don't confuse my methods of reasoning with your own. If you want to prove that someone did something, you need 3 things. 3 things? A motive, an opportunity to commit the crime, and finally, decisive evidence. If you think these 3 things through, the answer becomes quite clear. You should have already known that, Felix. They didn't teach that to us in school, at least not from what I remember. May I continue now? So would you say this need came from the press conference? Yes. Do you know why Juan chose the event and the hotel for that conference? Because that was when he could cause the most damage to the public's beloved Matt Engard. And you knew of this plan, didn't you, Mr. Andrews? Yes, because I was the one who set up the conference and prepared the costume. But I'm sure Mr. Engard himself didn't know anything about the press conference. Oh, really? Can you show me any proof that he didn't know about the press conference? Why don't you show me proof he did know? Anyway, the important thing here is that his information was not in your testimony. Yes, I agree. Miss Andrews, please correct your testimony if you please. Grasping at straws now, are we, Mr. Wright? Oops. Has Mr. Engard done anything to hurt you or betray you personally? Why do you ask? You were the one who helped Mr. Carita with his press conference. And that evident event was supposed to bring down Mr. Engard, yet you still helped out. Objection! The person on trial right now is Mr. Engard, right? Oh, I'm not doing his voice. What the witness was thinking, helping the victim with his plan, is none of our concern. I mean, yes it is, because why would she help him, but then also implicate, like try to cover for him? That makes no sense. In any case, that means that the defendant had a motive to kill. Why do I keep doing this to myself? But you already testified earlier that Mr. Engard was taking a nap in his room. Are you telling me now that that too was a lie, so you had to could cover for Mr. Engard? I'm not telling you anything of the sort. When I went to get him from the show, he honestly was sleeping. However, as to whether he was sleeping the entire time, that I cannot say. I was too busy setting up the stage at the time. I keep trying, but I can find no laws with what Miss Andrews said. I can't say the same for some people here in this courtroom, however. The judge is glaring straight at Mia. He's glaring at you, smart guy. It would have been greater if you just said smart ass. You can hardly call the knife decisive evidence. The fingerprints of the knife could very well be clever camouflage. Then, what about the button? The button? It's clear from the crime scene that the victim and the murderer fought. And during the fight, the killer ripped the button from the Jamming Ninja's costume. You're talking about this button, correct? The button was found in the plants of Matt's Hakama, isn't that correct? I would think that makes it very decisive evidence. It looks like you were outfoxed again, Mr. Wright. Anyway, the knife doesn't prove a thing. Please fix your testimony. I can't stand the sight of a man who can't gracefully accept his defeat. Thank goodness Mia can still look at me. With an icy stare, yes. I can also read your mind. Miss Andrews, for Mr. Wright's sake, please add this information to your testimony. Well, actually, that would be false, because it has blood on it, which would mean it would be after his death. Okay, maybe not that one. Oh, we can at least see what happens when I fail. I think it's the first time I failed at one of them. That's enough. This court has no reason to further prolong the trial, nor is there any need for more time to decide the case against the defendant. This case is extremely clear. I see no room for misinterpretations of the facts. The court finds the defendant, Matt Engard. No! The accused will surrender to the court immediately. I mean, he's there. He's not going to go anywhere. To be held pending trial at To be held pending trial at a higher court within a month from today's date. What? We just did a trial to confirm his guilt, and you're saying that you have to do another trial to determine what? How long he's going to be in prison? That's what this trial was for. You're supposed to do that in the same trial. You don't do a different trial for the same thing. Whatever. That is all. The court is adjourned. Oh, that's the first time we've seen behind him. Good job, everyone. I guess it's not that. It's probably the picture then. Where is it? No. I guess I'll press it then. And how do you know that? Well, when the ends of the threads at the bottom of the buttons, or the button and the costume were matched up, they were found to fit together perfectly. Or so I heard. I've heard that before too. But why would Miss Andrews know about this case down to such a fine detail? I blame Mia, yeah. Don't look at me like that just because I'm prepared and you're not. And I thought I had her for this time, sure. If there's anything to trip her up here, or trip her up on, it has to be here, but where and what? What? I kept clicking, it wouldn't skip. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seemed pretty solid. Really? Because to me it sounded a little wishy-washy. Wishy-washy? Well, I guess we'll see if I can press a little more. You should know this by now, but you'll need strong, decisive evidence to make a talk. Got it, Chief. I'm gonna pin you down this time, Miss Andrews. Oh, Phoenix. Oh. Well, what you really did was stab the guy in the back, didn't you? And at the worst possible time.
Objection!
Who's to say she really stabbed the guy in the back, as you put it? This witness could have disclosed things about Mr. Engard at any time. Why then would she wait until there was a large audience before doing so? It's the same reason why Mr. Corrida planned such an elaborate conference. Miss Andrews wanted to cause Mr. Engard as much damage as she possibly could. The witness bears ill will towards the defendant.
Objection!
This isn't the Phoenix Wright Wax Philosophical Power Hour. Please stop slandering the witness. There's not slandering if it's true. As I expected, Miss Andrews' testimony seems pretty solid. Wishy-washy, blah, 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 blah. Or maybe it's the, this one.
Objection!
Oh, okay, then. I guess it is that. You'd think it would be the button because it has blood on it, when we know it should be after that. Whatever. This is the victim's autopsy report. It clearly states that the cause of death was strangulation by a scarf. Strangulation? The knife stab to the victim was done after the victim had already died. And what does that mean? Let's examine the evidence. This button has the victim's blood on it, which would mean that it was ripped off the costume when? After the knife was stabbed into the victim. Exactly, which means it is impossible that this button was torn off during the victim's final struggle, because the victim was strangled to death in that fight. That's right, Miss Andrews. There is no way this button was ripped off during the struggle. This button was consciously pulled off of the victim's already dead body. Order, order! What is the meaning? What is the meaning of this, right? So what if the button was torn off the body after the victim had already died? What does that change? Let me ask you one simple question, Mr. Edgeworth. Why was the button torn off? What purpose did it serve? What purpose? We now know that this button was not torn off during the fight. So the murderer took the time and effort to purposely rip this from the victim's body. That would mean that the murderer had something in mind, wouldn't it? Mr. Wright, does this mean you know what the murderer wanted to do with this button? What was it? To pin the crown on Engard. Why would you take a button to destroy it? There was only one logical reason for doing something like that. It was to pin the crown on Mr. Engard. There is no way anyone would put a bloodied button in their own pants. That's right, Mr. Engard was set up. By the real killer, of course. And the real murderer is... Well, Mr. Wright, who in the world is the real killer? Finally, I can't believe I managed to bring the trial all the way up to this point. Phoenix, you can't let your guard down yet, not until the very end. The real killer, the person who planned to frame Mr. Engard is... It's me! It's Maya! Or it was Old Bag!
Take that!
Miss Adrian Andrews. I choose you! You are a Pokemon! You are Mr. Karida's killer. What? Ora! Mr. Wright, this is a very grave matter. Do you have any evidence that supports your charge? Any evidence? All of the evidence points to Miss Andrews. How preposterous. You can't stick any of that on me. I can't, can I? Would you care to test me? Then, what about this knife? The knife was used to stab the victim after he had already been strangled to death. It was used to throw suspicion onto Mr. Engard, apparently, actually. Can't we just say it's Old Bag and we can all go home? Yeah. A knife covered in the defendant's fingerprints would have only been taken from his room. And the only one who had dinner with him and knew which knife to take was you. Disc. Then, what about the button that was found in Matt's Hakama? This button was removed from the victim after he had already died. The only person who could have done so were the person who found his body or the killer. However, if Mr. Engard was the real killer, there is no way he would put such incriminating evidence in his own Hakama. The only person who could have put this button into Master Engard's Hakama is the person who went to wake him up from his nap, which is you yet again, Miss Andrews. I see. Well, what about the guitar's empty case? This is another piece of evidence that incriminates Miss Andrews. Why is she making that face? Why is she putting the outfit on so... Not daintily, but, you know, like... Ooh. It's so weird, but... okay. The costume was used to hide the real killer's identity as she fled the crime scene. Or as they fled the crime scene. Now, who could have known that there was just such a costume inside the guitar case? Fan service, yeah, probably. The best kind. A face. It could have only been the person who prepared the costume for the victim. And that person is you, Miss Adrian Andrews. I called her Andrew Adrian. No, Miss Andrews' fingerprints were nowhere to be found on the guitar case. And it was you who proved the point that she was not wearing gloves at the time. That's right. That's because she did not intend on leaving any prints. Anyone had found out that she had touched the case, then why would they have asked her why? Or they would have asked her why. So to avoid leaving any prints, she used a towel or something else to open it. Which we just don't have as evidence, but it's there. You know, now think about it, couldn't anyone just use that excuse? They'd just be saying, oh, well, the reason there wasn't any prints because there was a towel. But don't try and look for it because there wasn't one there. But the glass with tomato juice is a different story. Miss Andrews purposely left her fingerprints on the glass to show that, yes, indeed, she was the classic dazed discoverer of a dead body. The amount of glasses that she's broken. To top it all off, there is this photo. A photo of the killer as they exited the scene of the crime. No reasonable person on Earth can believe this is Nickel Samurai as Mr. Engard. He would be much too short for his own costume if that was him. Speaking of how tall people are, Mr. Andrews, you're also kind of short in stature, aren't you? This game is heightist. It's like, oh, you're short. You're so short. You're shorty. Go to prison. You're clearly a criminal. Please stop. And not one bit of glass in her gets in her eye. Well, how about it, Miss Andrews? I've got her this time. Miss Andrews? I refuse to testify. What was that? There's a law. It says I can't be forced to testify about something if it can incriminate me. What? That's a stupid law. Oh, I can't say anything that would incriminate me, so therefore I'll just lie. Oh, yeah, well, okay, that's fine. Well, yes, you are absolutely correct, Miss Andrews. The law does provide us a way to avoid self-incrimination, while allowing a witness to not testify if the testimony can cause damage to themselves. What? Pleading the fifth is not something most people would think to do on the spot. Actually, thinking back to yesterday in Mr. Engard's room. Adrian Andrews, I get to do a voice again. Yes? Think hard about what we just discussed. Understood. Alright. That's it. That's when Francisca planted this idea in her head. She must have told Miss Andrews to not testify if things look bad. Did a good job proving everything up to this point, Phoenix. But there's still one thing you haven't done. Something I haven't done? What's wrong, Wright? Are you finished already? Run out of evidence? What is so humorous, Mr. Edgeworth? I'm sure you realize it as well, Your Honor. But everything the good lawyer has proven up to this point is meaningless. What? Everything you have proven is circumstantial. So is all the evidence against Matt Engard. What the fuck are you talking about? Why is it only her that gets that treatment? What about me? Yes, circumstantial. You have yet to provide a single piece of definitive proof. Proof that Adrian Andrews did, in fact, harbor a wish to murder Mr. Corrida. Murder, not harbor. Miss Andrews, did you want to kill Mr. Corrida? Why'd that come up? I mean, I guess I'll save. I don't know why it came up, but I'll save. And Japan is guilty and proven innocent. Yeah, I know that, but still. This is supposed to be Japanifornia. I believe that this may lead to incriminate myself, so I will abstain from answering. But Miss Andrews, if you do that, it would be the same as admitting your guilt, don't you think? Maybe so, or maybe not. There is nothing to prove it either way. Besides, you don't even know what crime I would be guilty of due to my silence. No, she's taking that defiant attitude again. Mia, what should we do? Somehow, we've landed in the worst possible situation. You're no help, Mia. Why are you here? Get out. Pearls would be better here. I think we have reached a certain conclusion at this time. Miss Andrews, or Adrian Andrews, is reviewed to testify, and the defense's theory that she is the actual murderer has not been fully substantiated with solid definitive proof. But that's not true! In this situation, there is only one thing this court can do, and that is declare a recess. Recess? I request that both the prosecution and the defense look further into this matter, and at tomorrow's trial... Tomorrow? We don't have a tomorrow. If we don't get a not guilty verdict today, then... Please wait, Your Honor. That's not necessary. The trial... Please continue the trial. What are you sweating for? Your client is getting one more day to live, isn't he? That's not it. This isn't about that. Edgeworth, I know you know who the real killer is. Please let the trial continue. If I don't get the verdict, then Maya. But it's impossible to continue as long as the witness refuses to testify. Now then, this court is... It is not impossible for this trial to continue. Mr. Edgeworth? What are you... It's true, Miss Andrews herself holds the right against self-incrimination. However, if the topic of conversation were somehow unrelated to whatever she may be guilty of, then she has no right to withhold testimony. Yes, that is true, but actually, there is one little thing that I'm curious about. Miss Andrews, when you found the victim's body, you poured yourself a glass of juice. Yes, and? I can't help but think how unnatural that is. And usually when one finds a body, they are shaken up, not stirring a glass of juice. So my actions were unusual, but I've already... Before you speak, I want you to state that if you have a reason behind your actions, I would like you to testify to that effect. Testify? Your Honor, I would like to request the witness testify again, as to what happened when she first discovered the body, and why she had some juice. Whatever we may find out of this testimony should be in no way implicate the witness. I don't know what it is about Edgeworth today, but I can't get a good read off of him. Is he a friend or foe? I just don't know. The court acknowledges the prosecution request. Miss Andrews, if you please. Poor Andrews, he's just like, can I go now? No? Oh, I gotta talk about the juice again? Okay. Well, I poured some juice. There you go. I poured some juice. That glass of juice. I didn't really pour it for myself. I was surprised when I walked into the room and I saw it on the messy state. And Juan, he was sitting slumped over and tired looking in the corner. Well, when I saw him sitting like that, the thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind, which is odd because he had a giant knife sticking out of him, but whatever. To be honest, I thought he had just fainted or something, so I went to pour him some juice. And when I realized he was dead, that's when I knocked the flower vase over. So you poured the glass of juice for the victim. Why didn't you just say so in your early testimony? I didn't think I needed to include something so trivial. Phoenix, please be careful here. If you can't find anything wrong with this testimony, then there's nothing left. I know. Edgeworth, what the heck is going on in that brain of yours? It like turns to Edgeworth, and it's like he's got like a mind palace and everything in a library. He's like going, if you look at the cross-reference, this piece of evidence with this piece of evidence, then we find out the murderer was actually, something like that. And then you go to Phoenix's, and it's just like a monkey, like just clapping some cymbals. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may cross-examine your witness, or begin the cross-examination, or whatever. Interrogator. Now, I'm unsure as if this has the one and done thing. Like, you can only do one thing, and if you get the wrong one, then you're dead. So, I'm saving. But there wasn't anyone else in the room, right? Of course not. Then, who did you pour it for? Milk carton falling over from SpongeBob. That also worked, yes. Then, who did you pour it for? Mr. Wright, there is a rhyme and reason for everything. Can you wait just a little longer for it to be revealed to you? In other words, Wright, be quiet and listen. Precisely. I wouldn't have said it better myself. So, it was a huge mess? Are you sure it wasn't messy because of your fight, Mr. Karina? I was just immediately jumping on that? Okay. I understand your frustrations at not being able to prove your theory. However, before you go accusing people of crimes, go find yourself some evidence. And then, what did you see next, witness? Slumped over? Yes, he was just sitting there with his head tilted forward, eyes closed. He really looked like he was sleeping. Is it just me, or did that right there sound a little odd? Thought that he was dead didn't cross my mind, which wouldn't make sense going by the crime scene photo. So, you honestly didn't think he was dead when you found him? No, not at all. Even though this is what you saw when you discovered the body. What is the meaning of this? Isn't it obvious, Your Honor? There is a knife sticking straight out of Mr. Carita's chest. Anyone who saw this scene would immediately thought, there's a dead man! That's... Well, you see... I doubt a single person in the world would mistake this for someone who fainted. And then nonchalantly go pour something like a drink. Your point is... Come on, Judge! Have more than one brain cell. Miss Andrews, your testimony just now. It was one giant lie. doing different noises now. And your lie has proven one thing very clear. That you are the real killer. No! It looks like the defense has somehow brought the ugly truth to light. The defendant, Mr. Matt Engard, is not guilty after all. But that's impossible. You're wrong. Miss Andrews, try to have some composure. It wasn't me. It wasn't me, I tell you. It was Matt, I swear it. He's the one who killed Juan. But you were the one who refused to testify. And your reason for not doing so was that you might end up incriminating yourself. That's because... Miss Andrews, I'll give you one last chance. What exactly are you hiding that may incriminate you? I refuse to testify. And there's no need for this court to continue any further. Mr. Engard's innocence has been clearly demonstrated. Is it over? Have we found the truth at last? What's wrong, Phoenix? Usually the real killer confesses his or her guilt. And now that I think about it, this is the first time someone hasn't. Well, not every criminal is going to do that. That's not to say that this might be a different case, but you know. Now then, I would like to hand down my verdict for Matt Engard.
Objection!
Coming in at the last second. Your Honor, the prosecution feels that it would be premature to pass down a verdict at this time. What? The reason is quite simple. The witness has yet to speak the absolute real truth. The absolute real truth? What do you... Witness? Oh, don't you understand? Huh? I don't know who planted this silly idea in your head, but as long as you protect yourself through your silence, Matt Engard will go free, and in his place, you will become the guilty party. That's a lie. I don't believe you. What? I was told if I spoke, then it would be all over, and Matt Engard will never be declared guilty. What in the world is she talking about? Has she lost it? Not every criminal is theatrical. Yeah, exactly. I can't speak about it. I'm too scared. It's Francisca von Karma. Huh? Don't you remember, Wright? Or Phoenix? Miss Andrews lives by gripping tightly onto the words of another. Because she doesn't have the strength to believe in herself. Then right now, Miss Andrews is... Yesterday, she was tossed a lifesaver by Miss von Karma. Don't say a word no matter what happens. If you do, Matt Engard will be acquitted. Miss Andrews undyingly believes in those words right now and is clinging on to them. Then what should we do? This is the first time I've ever come across anything like this. And it will be the only time you'll come across something like this. Miss Andrews has to be the killer, right? All we have to do is get our not guilty verdict. That's our only priority. It wasn't me. I'm begging you. Please believe me. I didn't kill Juan. Help, please. Someone. Help me. Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? The court can't continue on like this. Therefore, I'd like to hear what you intend to do. What I intend to do? What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to say? Right. I suggest you think very carefully about this. Think about what the witness did and what she did not do. And think about who is the real mastermind behind this crime. Who the real mastermind? Isn't that obvious? There's no one else it could be except the woman crying over there, right? Right? I'm just saying, it should be the woman that's over there bawling her eyes out and seems to be telling the truth. She's the murderer, right? She must be. Come now, what will you do? What kind of man are you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? I am the one who will get the truth. I am the one that will put him in prison. I think this is actually one of the few cases where they actually try and get to be what kind of person is Phoenix. Which I like. I wish it did it more. I'll go with this one. I have to win a complete acquittal today. There's no way around that. But I can't bring myself to do it like this, not when she's making a face like that. Miss Andrews, I would like to know what you are really hiding. Mr. Wright, are you sure you know what you're doing? Sure, Mr. Engard would get an acquittal, but in his place he would be found guilty. Is this how you really want this trial to end? Be quiet. How dare you? You're trying to trick me. That's enough. I commend you for trying, Mr. Edgeworth. However, it's clear that the defense's theory is the truth. You're wrong. What a shame. I had hoped things wouldn't have to come to this, however... What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? Miss Andrews, since you absolutely refuse to testify, it falls on my shoulders to disclose this to the court. Stop. Mr. Edgeworth? This witness, how should I put this? She has an illness. That's kind of mean, but okay. It's not really an illness, I guess. It's more of just a dependency thing. What? Because of this illness, she has tried to commit suicide in the past. Stop. Please stop. No matter how much you want to hide it, it's no use. It's no use. I have the evidence right here. That's the second part of the suicide report. The attempted suicide report. What will you do now, witness? You know what I'm about to do, don't you? I will now reveal to the court the true nature of the pitiful woman known as Adrian Andrews. The secret of a dependent nature. Having other people know about it scares her more than anything else in the world. He may be an asshole, but he's getting to the truth. He's gonna force it no matter what. Please stop, I beg you. If people found out... I mean, even if they did, you'll be in prison. If you're gonna say you would choose death, that is no concern of me. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, Edgeworth. Edgeworth, how can you be so cold? However, before you die... oh my god. I forgot about this. He's like, I don't care if you die, I just want to know the truth. Shut up. I will pull the truth on your still breathing lips. No matter what I have to do. So, will you tell the court yourself, or shall I? Either is fine with me. I'll talk, but please, help me. Nothing matters anymore. My crime. When I first saw him, I really thought he had fainted. Honest. When I realized he was dead, that was when I formulated my plan. Once I made sure there was no one in the hallway, I made a mad dash back to Matt's room. And then, I was going to say, I stabbed Matt. No, I stabbed Juan's dead body with a knife and ripped off the button. Just when I finished and was returning to Matt's room, I had a bit of an inconvenience. And that's why I ended up using the Nickel Samurai costume. Stabbed the body? With the knife? But why would you do that? Isn't it obvious? To pin the blame on a certain person. A certain cowardly man. What do you mean by all of this? It might take this court a little bit while to understand, but I'm not doing the voice. This is the truth. The real killer is Matt. That scumbag of a man, I'll never forgive him. He's trying to escape his guilt again, just like last time. Last time? So, Miss Andrews stabbed the victim, Juan Corrida, in the chest with the knife. However, she didn't do it with murder in mind. She did it with the intent of framing Matt Engard for the murder. And this is her crime. What? How is this possible? I mean, wasn't Miss Andrews supposed to be the real murderer? Mr. Wright, please get over your shock and commence the cross-examination. Here we go, finally, the last one, and then it'll be over for this part. You could tell from the state the room was in, must have been a fight. Are you telling me the truth? Are you telling the truth when you say you did not know he was dead? He had a scarf tied around his neck, but that scarf was part of the Jammin Ninja's costume, so I didn't think anything about it. It was strange. His head was also tilted down a bit, so I couldn't see his face that well. That's why I brought him. I thought to wake him up and went to pour the juice.
Hold it!
What was this plan of you had? I knew right away that Matt was the murderer. I knew because, one, he was going to expose Matt's weak point to the world. So Matt did this to stop Juan and silence him for good. That's when I thought I should forge some evidence and pin the crime on Matt. So the forged pieces of evidence were the knife and the button. The first thing that came to my mind, or to mine, was to plant the knife. So flimsy of an argument, she only framed Matt and God, so no way she could so no way could she kill oh, right. Well, maybe. Once I made sure, yeah. That was so you could get the knife, correct? The knife Matt used at the dinner had his fingerprints all over it. I thought if I used that, then the police would certainly turn their eyes towards him. Matt was napping with his costume on at the time. He slipped in, took the knife, and returned to the scene of the crime.
Hold it!
So you were the one who stabbed the victim with the knife. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it now. What a horrible thing I did. But at the time, I couldn't control my own body. It moved on its own. Then, when I stepped on Spud's body, I suddenly realized something. If I used the button somehow, I could make Matt look even more suspect. She thought to rip one of the buttons off and plant her on Mr. Engard's Hankama. I switched as soon as I realized it was Edgeworth. Yes, that's what I had planned to do. But things never go that smoothly, do they? An inconvenience. There was a woman with a camera at the ready loitering the hallway. I'm willing to bet my spikes it was Lotta. There was also a woman with a ray gun at the ready pacing back and forth. That's Miss Oldbag for you. Had already been caught and made into a big scoop for a certain weekly tabloid once, so I couldn't very well go out looking like myself and get caught again. You were the one who prepared that costume, weren't you? Yes, I took it from Global Studios. I also put the Juan's guitar case that day before the award ceremony. You did this in preparation for the press conference, correct? Yes, Juan wanted to wear the costume and hold a press conference in it. He was going to disclose Matt's big secret there. And what is this secret? That, I don't know. Anyway, I thought that if I were to leave the Juan's room in the Nickel Samurai costume, then people would think that Matt was the real murderer. I was very careful not to leave any fingerprints when I opened the guitar case. I absolutely did not want anyone to know about the costume. I think we've heard enough. So after that, you went back to Mr. Engard's room and planted the button? Into Matt's Hakama? Yes. After that, I folded up the costume I was wearing and put it into a bag. And then I snuck out of the hotel and got rid of it. My word, what does this all mean? Mr. Edgeworth, is it? The real criminal is Matt Engard. Yesterday, that woman prosecutor sent me down for a talk. Ziska, huh? She said that I should, under no circumstances, confess to what I've done. That if I just kept quiet, then Matt would be found guilty for sure. I had no choice but to believe in her words. What this witness has done is clearly unlawful. However, as long as her testimony stands, we can be certain she's not the real killer. She'll still go to jail for, trying to incriminate someone, but still. Tampering with evidence, that kind of thing. But it won't be like for murder, which is worse. Oh, wait, Your Honor. The defense still... Right. It's pointless. Oh, my voice cracked there. At this point in time, it is not possible to indict Miss Andrews on anything. Yes, exactly. There isn't a single piece of evidence that points to her as the murderer. The cross-examination of this witness is over, and so is today's trial. You couldn't establish that the witness was the culprit. Please let it go, Mr. Wright. But... Mr. Edgeworth, please place Miss Andrew under arrest for further questioning. Understood, Your Honor. The prosecution will arrange for her detention immediately. That is all. Court is adjourned for today. Game over. I didn't see the back of this chair before. Fancy. today's trial. It's over. I didn't win an acquittal. Witness, would you mind if I asked you something? Edgeworth. What is it? Before you leave court today, I was wondering if I might take a look at one thing. The card in your hand. It has my interest for quite some time now. What exactly is it? Oh, this? Mr. Wright also asked about this. Although I didn't remember at the time you asked me about it, Mr. Wright. I remember just now. I found it in this in the room on that day. The room? That day? Yes. Is it there? Is it that what this is? I found this card when I discovered Yuan's body. It was lying there right next to him. You found the card next to the victim's body? I suppose I must have unconsciously slipped it into my pocket. But it's not as if this card has any reference to Juan's murder, right? Yeah, I guess not. But it's still a strange card if you ask me. But as far as a clue to the case, I don't see why... Witness! That card! Give it to me! Hurry! Edgeworth? Do you have any idea how what you stupidly done yet inadvertently done? This... I can't believe you hid this from me of all time. I didn't mean to. What is this all about? I've never seen Edward so emotional before. That card. I wonder what is it? What does it mean? It's a seashell. To be continued. Woo! Finally! God, that felt like it took ages. Yes, I would like to save. Makes you wonder if Francisca knew about the card. Well, maybe. I mean, she does seem to miss some things. Not all the time. She's definitely still good at her job. It's just that there are times where she's like, oh, yes, I missed that. Oh, thank God. I believe that is 2 hours, right? Oh, yes, most definitely. So let's just get to the next thing and then, Wait, touchscreen. So we will stop there for today. We can pick this up on Friday. We will continue on and do the investigation into the trial further. If, you know, Maya's still alive. So, good job as always, everyone. So thank you all for joining today. I hope everyone enjoyed. Tomorrow we'll be back with Baldur's Gate, so look forward to that. And again, like I said, we'll be back with this on Friday, so tune in if you want to watch that instead, or as well. As usual, like, follow, subscribe if you haven't already. Tick that bell notification so then you know when I next stream, because you'll get notified of that. Sometimes it's a little finicky, sometimes it will turn itself off for some reason, or it won't send one through even when it is ticked. So, sorry about that. That's YouTube for you. But yeah, do all that. And if you want to help support me directly, there's links to Patreon and tips. If you do become a patron, you get a name added to this list, such as with Hiro Rukuni, where I thank you for the continued support. And yeah, you can slap me or something. I don't know. Probably not. Don't slap me. But yeah, thank you all for joining. I'll see you all tomorrow. And until then, y'all take care. Thanks for joining, Sean Southall, Raffatron, and anyone else. Yeah. Great. Yeah, it is great fun. But yeah, until next time, y'all take care. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye, everyone. Bye.